Wander over yonder. Wander over yonder. Wander, wander over yonder, yonder, wander yonder. Wander over yonder. All right. Wander over yonder. Wander over yonder. Wander, wander over yonder, yonder, wander yonder. Wander over yonder.
Welcome all, I'm EyeofSol. I have only one rule here. If it's animated, I'll comment on it. You know, some days I just wake up and I just feel like shit. And you know, while most people in that situation would often drink themselves into submission or just do heavy drugs, I'm gonna take the high road on this one and just kill myself. And you know, on those days when even suicide doesn't help, I find that I have to turn to cartoons to alleviate my sadness. And it was one such day like that I discovered a cute little cartoon, known simply as Wander Over Yonder. Wander Over Yonder was created by Craig McCracken, who's best known for creating the Powerpuff Girls and Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. His character Wander originally appeared on t-shirts and patches and sketchbooks that he sold at conventions. He was also starring in a graphic novel that never found its way to completion. A sneak peek of the series was shown at Comic-Con in 2012, and in September 2013, Wander Over Yonder began airing on Disney Channel before later moving to Disney XD, its younger, more radical brother, in late 2013. The first season consists of 36 11-minute episodes, 3 22-minute episodes, and the second season has been confirmed to air later in 2015. Now, before I watched this series, I was a little apprehensive. After all, the Disney Channel is responsible for spawning a hellish army of toothless, bleach-blonde celebrities that beguile little girls and make the rest of us cry for blood, and also birthing an entire generation of children whose faces deserve to be dragged through a belt sander. But that's beside the point. Really, the only reason I decided to check out this series was because Mr. McCracken created it, otherwise I probably never would have given it a try. Well, good thing I'm not petty, because I actually got a lot more out of this series than I was expecting. So, without further ado, let's put on our big floppy green hats, let's grab our banjos, let's get naked, let's superglue some orange fur to our bare skin, and let's take a good look at Wander Over Yonder.
Interesting. Keep them coming, guys. We, take a cooking class with them? No bad ideas. Really big laser on the moon. Sounds familiar.
Socks but for hands!
Gloves? You mean gloves? I'm putting down gloves.
Plot? What plot? There is no plot. Back in my Rick and Morty review, I said the following. To be honest, there really isn't much plot to speak of, at least at first. Well, even that show had more plot than Wander Over Yonder. Basically, Wander, this little orange furball here, travels the universe with his partner Sylvia and does stuff. Yep, that's it. Well, also, Wander and Sylvia keep running into Lord Hater, a skeleton man who wants to rule the universe with his army of watchdogs, and he also wants to destroy Wander and Sylvia for making him look like an idiot on numerous occasions, sort of similar to a Roadrunner Wile E. Coyote setup. Wander constantly foils Hater's plans without really being aware that he's doing so, just by acting oblivious and kind-hearted. Pretty much all of the episodes have nothing to do with each other, and the continuity is pretty sparse overall. But does it sound like I'm making that a problem? I hope not, because it's actually much better that way. After all, if you make a show about a wanderer, it only makes sense that the plot would be meandering, right? I think that makes sense, right? Well, whatever.
You know, I can imagine a whole bunch of things. A nine-necked banjo, a peppermint puppy, a radical radish, a sweeping lemur, a song that compliments you on your hat. Nice hat!
While there are numerous side characters in this series, the show mainly focuses on Wander and Sylvia and their adventures and interactions with said side characters. Their relationship is the heart of the show, and it makes for some interesting moments and dialogue. The main protagonist is Wander, a lovable wandering wanderer who is just so damn sweet and kind, you can actually taste the diabetes forming. He's a happy-go-lucky and hyperactive little, guy who plays the banjo and has a big floppy hat that can spawn an infinite number of objects and stuff. Wander is probably the nicest person you will ever see and is almost completely incapable of doing anything bad. And when I say incapable, I mean that literally. Wander is cute and kind, almost to a fault. Being helpful is like an obsession for him, and it's actually somewhat frightening to behold. He will go to any lengths to help people or remedy a situation, and if he can't, he starts getting weird. Seriously, he will flip shit if he can't help someone, which makes you kind of wonder just how far Wander will go to help somebody, to the point of it being genuinely scary. It's kind of funny, actually, because he's really very similar to the Meeseeks in Rick and Morty, in that he will literally do anything to help you with your problems, to the point of going completely balls out crazy. I know I'm kind of just digging into the same point here, but really, that's all there is to Wander's character. He's a good guy who likes to help people to the point of being obsessed about it. What else do you want me to say? Wander has basically no backstory that's been established yet, so in reality, that's all there is to say about him. Now, is that a bad thing? Well, absolutely not. Everybody needs roots in order to grow as a character, but honestly, Wander doesn't need to grow. He's sort of akin to classic cartoon characters like Bugs Bunny, Mickey Mouse, and Felix the Cat, in that his appeal doesn't come from his depth of character or connections to a plotline, but rather just seeing what kind of situation he'll get into in every episode, and what kind of impression he'll leave on his comic foils. He even cross-dresses from time to time, much like Bugs Bunny. Plus, Wander's relationship with his best friend and steed, Sylvia, is pretty interesting for such a silly series. I like that the two have no hints of romantic undertones or anything like that, even though they're opposite genders. The two both give each other something they need. Wander gives Sylvia love and kindness, and Sylvia gives him strength and protection. While their relationship isn't exactly deep or anything, it does stand out from other cartoons as being sweet and earnest, but also feeling natural and genuine. They really do enjoy being with each other, rather than it just being a matter of circumstance, duty, or entrapment, like Beatrice in Over the Garden Wall, Vanellope in Wreck-It Ralph, or Yuki in Noragami, and I find that is actually a rarity in cartoons. One kind of niggly thing I will say about Wander is that his naive nature can get a bit irksome at times. Yes, he's supposed to be goofy and oblivious, but come on, man, even you have to realize that nearly everybody wants to see you dead. It's kind of a big deal. But whatever, Wander's purpose isn't to be a deep character or a significant conduit of powerful emotions. He's a simple guy with a simple goal, to just wander over yonder. After that, there's Sylvia. Sylvia is a Zabornak who is also a wanderer like Wander, but is more in it for the ass-kicking than anything else. She's the main source of strength and power, and she can always be counted on to flip the bricks of anyone who would threaten her and Wander. As I said before, her relationship with Wander is very genuine, but I do have to wonder how they came to know each other, since the series has yet to explain itself in that regard. Sylvia was once partnered with a different man named Ryder, and the two were intergalactic adventurers, but had much more leniency towards the law. Sometime after that, however, Sylvia began traveling with Wander. The rest is a mystery. Sylvia does genuinely respect Wander's opinions and methods, even if she's better at recognizing the danger they face and how silly Wander can be. She can get short with him, which is understandable, but she's not obstinate, in that she will compromise her violent and conflict-starting nature in order to solve a problem or help someone in a calm and more peaceful manner. While I can't say that I really love Sylvia as a person, it is very nice to see a strong female character in this kind of a cartoon. Her strength of will and rough-and-tumble nature doesn't feel too forced, as though they're trying to appeal to a certain demographic. She's strong because she needs to be strong, and I think her bullish nature is handled very well, for the most part. Also, even though Sylvia is powerful and commands a lot of fear from her enemies, she still maintains a sweeter, softer side that is usually brought to light by Wander's influence. It's nice to see the two characters acting off of each other, in that Sylvia can make Wander strong, and Wander can make Sylvia sweet. So, in general, Sylvia is a good character, as long as they don't mess up her relationship with Wander in the episodes to come. Now then, for the villains, well, let's take a look. The main villain of the series is Lord Hater, an evil skeleton man who aspires to rule the universe by conquering all the planets with the help of his watchdog army and his second-in-command, Commander Peepers. Lord Hater is a very amusing villain, and has this sort of Elmer Fudd sort of feeling to his various schemes, but presented more like a bratty, teenage version of that character. Hater doesn't appear to want to conquer the universe for any other reason than just to prove that he can do it, similar to the rebellious, anarchistic nature of a teenager. At first, I thought this would get annoying as hell, but to my surprise, it actually got funnier and funnier as time went on. Hater just wants to be badass. He wants to be feared. He wants to be evil. You can see it in his outfit, his ship, his van, his room, his desperation to have a girlfriend, and literally everything he does. But even with all the evil and threatening motifs he surrounds himself with, it's just impossible to take him seriously, like a wispy, pubescent goth kid. Hater's idea of evil is almost comparable to watching a teenager's vision of the zombie apocalypse, having all that freedom and power to cruise around and do whatever you want, but in reality, once you have all that, you'll most likely have no idea what to do with it after the first day. That's kind of how I see Hater, and that actually makes him very endearing, which I found to be a somewhat odd reaction. Really, the best way to sum him up is, he's the monarch from the Venture Brothers, but for kids. What? How can that be possible? How, you ask? Well, why don't we bullet point all of the similarities between these two characters, just so you know I'm not making shit up. Do they? A. Command a large army of underlings that seem to exist only to do their leader's bidding? B. Have a red-haired nemesis that they try to destroy and torture but are ultimately not worth their time? C. Attempt to be evil and threatening, but always end up failing? D. Revel greatly in their small victories and spiral into depression when they fail? E. Act suave and sensual around women even though they have no romantic appeal whatsoever? F. Have a unique and oddly shaped ship that houses themselves and their army? G. Have a number 2 who acts as their pillar of support and yet is actually a more capable villain in their own right? So, yes, I have no doubt in my mind when I say that Lord Hater is the monarch, but with less swearing and more hoodies. And that is just fucking awesome. Hate's definitely great, even if he's not the best villain. The only other character worth mentioning is Commander Peepers, Lord Hater's second-in-command. Peepers is eternally loyal to Hater and often acts as his shoulder to cry upon. Peepers greatly desires Lord Hater's approval and praise, but Hater is so self-absorbed that he rarely acknowledges Peepers beyond barking orders at him and ridiculing him when he fails. Hater claims that the two of them are not friends, but they share friendship necklaces and appear to have fun together often. I don't like Commander Peepers at all. There's just not much to him, really. He just yells a lot and contradicts Lord Hater, but he's not really so irritating that it's worth getting mad over. He's just there, and that's fine, I suppose. Well, I'm surprised I can keep up this pace considering I blew out 90% of my brain. But, while I'm still cognizant, let's talk about the good and the bad things from this silly series. Well, I can't say that this series has the same legacy-creating ability as Powerpuff Girls, or the simple charm of Foster's Home for Imaginary Friends. I find that it has its own endearing nature that makes it fun to watch no matter what mood you're in. This is a show you watch when you want to let go. It's a show you see when you don't want to get bogged down in the worries of the world. It's a show you watch when you just want to laugh with no strings attached. To me, pure comedy is hard to find without it having some kind of backstory, but this is a series that's got almost none of that. It's just here to make you laugh, and that's all it needs to do. Its simplicity, as well as its zaniness, can take the tears out of the eyes of anyone and turn any bad day into one filled with big, stupid grins. Also, I find the overall design of the series very appealing. With the exception of one episode, it is almost completely void of dark and depressing imagery, but hey, it doesn't need any. Like I said, this show is here to make you laugh, so it doesn't need any sort of detailed or expressive backgrounds. It almost looks like a very well done Flash cartoon, and for simplicity's sake, I think that it complements the straightforward silliness the show displays extremely well. The music is also quite catchy. Not so much the background music, but the actual songs the characters sing. Wander frequently likes to burst into song due to his spontaneous and zany nature, and for the most part, they're good songs and fun to sing along to. Well, I think I might be blind now, but let's go over the bad things too.
She wanted to come, but she had to go to the bathroom. Zbornaks only go once every 5 months? Crazy, huh? She told me it takes a while and it's kind of embarrassing, and so she doesn't want everybody knowing about it, so she said, Wander, don't go blabbing like you always do. Oh.
Though I said that this show is great to watch if you need a good laugh, I could never ever say that it's for everyone. If you love humor, then sure, it might be right up your alley. But in a general sense, I will admit that yes, this is most definitely a cartoon for kids. That isn't necessarily a bad thing, and it doesn't mean adults can't watch and enjoy it either, but it does mean that oftentimes a distracting moral or saccharine moment has to be fisted into the plot in order to appease the lazy parents of the world who use television as a babysitter and educator, and watching it as an adult can invoke more than a few mental facepalms. If you're looking for any sort of depth here,
Why don't you get out?
obviously that's not the point of this series, but it would be nice for some of the characters to have to face some kind of consequences for their actions. Pretty much all of the characters suffer from what I like to call infallible recurring character syndrome, or IRCs for short, which means that because they're important characters, any pain or injury they receive is generally gone by the next scene, meaning the actions taken against the characters are usually presented purely for comedy's sake, and not to make the characters have to deal with them in any significant way. You're probably thinking, well duh, it's a cartoon. But hey, I've seen plenty of animated shows and movies that express their characters' pain and consequences extremely well, so it's not like it's an anomaly or anything. But at the end of the day, and really, when it all comes down to it, this is a kid's show, so I really can't expect anything groundbreaking to come out of it. Plus, as I mentioned earlier, it would be nice if Wander kind of just, understood how much people hate him. I know that his obliviousness is supposed to be part of his character, and yeah, it's still cute and charming, but really, I feel like sometimes he should probably just wake the fuck up and realize that half the universe wants his head on a silver platter. Least favorite episode! Right, so picking a least favorite episode wasn't really that difficult. Yeah, it's the little guy. In this episode, a small henchman of Lord Hader named Wesley is left behind on a planet after the watchdogs spot Wander and Sylvia. Wesley manages to catch up to the two, but he is so clumsy and bad at being a henchman that Wander and Sylvia take pity on him and agree to be taken prisoner so that he will be picked up by Lord Hader and showered with praise. Sounds simple enough, I suppose. So, why is this my least favorite episode? The damn moral. The moral in this episode is so blatantly ham-fisted that from the first sentence Wesley utters, you know exactly how it's going to end. Now, I'm not so deeply cynical that I instantly reject any and all positive messages in a cartoon, but this particular episode basically shoves a morally positive watermelon straight up your ass, and I find that a bit hard to swallow. I also find the comedy lacking in this episode, plus Wesley is just such an obnoxious little polyp that needs to be scraped off and discarded out quickly. And to top it all off, Wander exhibits almost no craziness in this episode, and just sort of hangs around in the background, just waiting to fire off that elephant-sized cannon of morals right into your face. Turtle! Albacore flamenco. Lovers like a England come. The nice guy. In this episode, Sylvia asks Wander to get her a bottle of Thunderblast from the nearby mini-mart. Hilarity ensues. Now, yeah, this episode has a moral too, but it's a very simple moral summed up in a single sentence. Never hurts to help. Well, that's true. Except when it does. And that's what this whole episode is about, just Wander working towards one goal and being thwarted at every turn. This episode is basically just a gauntlet of jokes all centered around Wander's good nature and how people and circumstance can exploit it, but hey, it's still hilarious and is guaranteed to make even the most tight-ass person you can imagine crack the tiniest of smiles. For a runner-up for favorite episode, it's definitely The Box. You want to see Wander go completely batshit insane? Check this one out. So, this series is not a masterpiece in any way, shape, or form, but it's so nice to know that cartoons like this are still being made, ones that just, their entire goal is just to make you laugh, and, you know, that's a simple goal. They're the cartoons that just shed all the baggage and are just right there on the screen for you, like a little ray of sunshine through the clouds of gloom. I give Wander Over Yonder 3.5 eyes out of 5. Which means it's a pretty good series, but it's not perfect. So, Wander Over Yonder. Is it watchable? Yes, indeed it is. Is it enjoyable? If you're wanting a good, no-strings-attached kind of laugh, then yeah, definitely. Is it memorable? Maybe not, but it does kind of make me regret blowing my brains out.
There's a place you can do whatever you want to. Just take a step inside your mind. Open up the door, walk on through. You'll be singing whoop-a-doo when you take a step inside your mind. Oh, make up stuff that you want to see, like a psychedelic bumblebee. Do some things you want to try, like flying up in the sky when you take a step inside your mind.
Thanks so much for watching EyeofSol. If you want to see more of my videos, hit subscribe to follow my channel, or click the links in the description to check out my Twitch channel and my Twitter page. New reviews will be up every Friday, so check back in for more new videos. Don't forget to share this with anyone you know who loves cartoons. Have an idea for an animated series or movie you want me to comment on? Leave me a message in the comments. I'll consider every suggestion I get. Thanks again for watching, and have a great day.